Well, today we're just touching up the Union Pacific Big Boy schedule, the Westward Bound tour from Cheyenne to Roseville, California, and back. Today we're just going to be making some adjustments to that first part of the schedule from Cheyenne to Salt Lake City because there have been a few changes and some exciting developments. So the train will be leaving Cheyenne on June 30th and arriving in Salt Lake City on the 4th of July and laying over there on the 5th of July. We weren't sure if Union Pacific Steam Program was going to be running their tracker, but apparently they will. So on the Union Pacific website, you can find this area where you can see the tracker, which will be carried on the locomotive. And if you have internet access, you'll be able to follow the movements of the train as it travels down the track so that you know exactly where it is. If you go to UP's website, up.com, and go into the Steam program, it's a little tricky to find it, but you shouldn't have too much difficulty finding the page where the tracking information is displayed. Cheyenne, Wyoming is, of course, the home to the Union Pacific Steam program, and where 844 and 4014, the steam locomotives, reside. They will be leaving on June 30th at 8 a.m. from the Cheyenne facility, the shops there. Now, we erroneously reported in the first video that they would be stopping at Granite for an inspection. No, they're not going to be doing that. They're going out on the third track. But if you take the Granite exit, County Road 102, and proceed back toward the track to the south, that will take you to the crossing for the third track. This is the ghost town, I guess you could say, of Harriman. And there's a nice crossing here, a great place to shoot video should you be so inclined. Here's a picture from Google Maps showing what that road crossing looks like. On then to Sherman Hill. It's kind of difficult to find good places out here just because it's dirt roads and somewhat inaccessible, but boy, is it, it's an amazing climb up out of Cheyenne over Sherman Hill. The summit of Sherman Hill can be reached by taking County Road 234 Monument Road off of I-80. When you reach Iron Horse Road, that's the original 1868 grade, now just a dirt road, and the ghost town of Sherman. One of the most interesting things, and the only real surviving thing out here, is the Ames Monument. There is also the original site of the Dale Creek Trestle, but if you continue down the road, you will reach the current main line. It was realigned shortly after it was built in the 1860s to get rid of the Dale Creek Trestle once and for all, and you'll reach the Dale Creek railfan site, which is a great place to film the train. Professor Google reveals the actual site of the Sherman Hill summit and the old ghost town of Sherman. You can see a lot of snow fences here, and they're much needed, as well as the abandoned Y where they used to cut out the helper engines. Here we can see the original site of the town of Sherman. You can see where the turntable was. Iron Horse Road here is the original 1868 grade. The reason it's called Monument Road is that, again, the only surviving artifact out here is the Ames Pyramid. The Ames Shovel Company decided to join in with the Union Pacific and become a partner with the construction of the Union Pacific, and one of the Ames brothers decided that he wanted to build a pyramid and be buried in that here at the town of Sherman. As it happens, instead, he went to prison for grifting federal monies as part of the Union Pacific construction, was never buried in the pyramid, was recently restored, so it's in really good shape. As I mentioned before, the Union Pacific grade was realigned not that long after the railroad was built to get rid of some of this grade and the huge trestle at Dale Creek. This is where the railroad currently crosses Dale Creek on this fill, and it's a much more gradual grade. So the entire town of Sherman was simply abandoned. Here we can see the original location of the Dale Creek trestle. If you go to Google Earth and whatnot, you can find these locations easily there off Monument Road at the town of Sherman. Anyway, you can see the foundations here for the Dale Creek trestle. This is the original Dale Creek trestle, and good grief, one of the most spectacular railroad trestles ever built. Unfortunately, it was only around for a few years before it burned down. It was then replaced by this rather flimsy iron trestle at the exact same location. The upper girder work or truss work up there just didn't prove to be adequate, and so that was replaced with steel plate girders. And then shortly after that, the railroad was simply realigned to get rid of this steeper grade and the necessity of even having this trestle. Here you can see the original footings for the Dale Creek iron trestle, easily accessed, and an amazing piece of railroad history, a magnificent artifact if you want to go looking for it. Anyway, we're probably not going to go looking for artifacts. We're here to chase the big boy. If you continue down Monument Road 234, you will quickly arrive at the current crossing of the current main line, and it's a railfan site. The Union Pacific has designated this as a railfan site, and it's a pretty decent place to get footage of the train coming by. As always, be very careful. Stay well back from the tracks, a minimum of 25 feet, preferably more like 30 feet, just to remain completely safe. And you'll get a better photograph if you do that. Okay, continuing on now, our next stop is going to be Laramie. Should be arriving there at 10:45. The plan is to lay over for 30 minutes, do an inspection, oil around, and that sort of thing. East Kearney and 1st Street, the UP Depot in Laramie. At this point, the original Lincoln Highway, US 30, follows the UP Main, should you want to follow along with the train through this area. The train will be arriving in Rawlins at 3:30 p.m. There will be a public display, and UP employees and their guests will have access to the train. They can come right up to the locomotive and inspect it, but the public will not have general access unless you happen to know a Union Pacific employee that can get you over there. They will be departing Rawlins on July 1st at 9 a.m., proceeding to Rock Springs for the next layover. They will be stopping and inspecting and oiling around at Wamsutter at 10:30, should be here for 30 minutes, departing at 11 a.m. They're tying up in front of the water tower, so that's going to be really fun. They are arriving Rock Springs at 3:30. Here again, there won't be any public display, public access, I should say. There will be a public display and, again, employee access. So the same rules apply. You can look at the locomotive from some distance. If you're an employee or the guest of an employee, then you will have access to get up to the locomotive. Okay, July 3rd, Rock Springs to Evanston, Wyoming. They will be departing at 9 a.m., as I understand it, and that will place them in Green River at 10 a.m. I'm not sure when they will be arriving at Granger, probably right around 1 p.m. Gives you plenty of time to get footage at Granger and then still meet the train as it arrives in Evanston. There's not a lot of places to meet the train between Granger and Evanston, so you can proceed directly from Granger to Evanston and easily meet the train there. They will be arriving in Evanston at 3:30. We love to get footage back behind the Walmart. This is the location just off the Walmart parking lot. Super, super convenient. And the trains just come creeping by there. Absolutely great place to get a good look at the train. We've done quite a few shows out of Evanston. They have a great train show up here every year. And they've been working for years on restoring the Roundhouse, and it's mostly restored now. They've just done an absolutely magnificent job restoring the original Roundhouse. The locomotive will be tying up here at Itinerary Road. Official name for that is Avenue A. But you can park here. Again, you can easily see the locomotive. No public access, but a great place to just see the locomotive from the other side of the fence. It's just right there. And now the big day, the 4th of July, Independence Day. They will be traveling Evanston to Salt Lake City, the most beautiful part of the entire trip, and a great event happening in Salt Lake City on their arrival. Come for the train event, stay for the fireworks. It's going to be amazing. They are departing Evanston at 9 a.m., and that should put them in Echo Canyon at 10 a.m. And the lower part of Echo Canyon, our favorite place to film, at 10:30. They will be stopping in Morgan for 30 minutes from 11:15 to 11:45 for an inspection and oil around, and great place for the public to see the train. A lot of people meet the train in Morgan. It's a fabulous place to see the train. They're going to be arriving in Salt Lake City at 3 p.m. and they will arrive at UTA's transit hub at 300 South and 200 West, where there will be public access. And this is just a really neat place. This is where all of the various trains that service Salt Lake City, the Front Runner, Amtrak, the light rail system, everything ties up here at the transit hub. And they will be placing the locomotive on the Amtrak main. The site here has amazing history. This is the original Denver and Rio Grande back shops, which were unfortunately torn down just a few years ago. There was even a surviving section of the original Rio Grande Roundhouse here. And there was a plan to salvage all of this and rebuild it into the bus terminal. And unfortunately, instead, it was all torn down. Here we have an overhead shot from around 1940. You can see the back shops, the original Roundhouse, and in the upper right corner here, the freight depot. The back shops is where Rio Grande used to perform maintenance on their large locomotives. The main facilities were in Denver, but they also had these substantial facilities here in Salt Lake City. As I say, the plan up to just a few years ago was to rebuild this facility into bus maintenance for the UTA, but instead, without really announcing anything, they just simply tore it down. At any rate, just some amazing history here at this site, and it's wonderful at least that it is still being used as a rail facility, even though it's the transit hub for the local trains here. But at least it's still being used as a train facility of some kind. The area just to the east here is Grant Tower. Again, rich history here at Grant Tower. It's where Union Pacific, Rio Grande, and Western Pacific interchanged. It was also interchanged here with the Salt Lake, Garfield, and Western. But what an amazing place. Unfortunately, I have memories of it when it was in full operation. Just a great place to go watch trains working. Right here is where the big boy is going to be tied up, almost on this exact location, that being the location of the original Denver and Rio Grande Western depot for Salt Lake City. That evening, the train will be moved to the Rose Park Spur 100 North Warm Springs Road. It will be on display there July 5th all day long. Again, public display, no public access, but employee access, employees and their guests. Same rules apply as before. Well, we will be picking this up with the westward trip out of Salt Lake City toward Wendover. We'll be getting a show up on that as soon as we have some accurate information. And you'll want to follow along with that, so if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe by clicking on the upcoming blue button. Zoink! Right there, the blue button. Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring, and Karen and I will see you here on Sunday. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.